All right, so this is a quick run through of the sentences, the practice sentences, that had all of various ut clauses. Remember, ut clauses are clauses so called because they all involve the word ut. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, and they are going to express several things, all requiring a subjunctive verb. They can express the result of something, the purpose of something. They can express a command that we're reporting indirectly. They can express a fear that is being expressed, and they can express that the entirety of the subjunctive clause is functioning like a noun. So let's take a look at all of the items. So starting with number 1, we're going to translate the sentence. We're going to talk about what kind of an ut clause it is. Here you can see that they all are going to have an ut, or in some instances, nay, which is normally a negative ut, but of course in fear clauses they are reversed. So Tom, already that word tells me what probably is going to come. So the milites, the soldiers, fought, did fight, have fought, perfect tense. Tom fortiter, so bravely. Ut, there's a subjunctive verb, sequerator, a future active infinitive, if this deponent verb had one, with an ending on it of tur. Sequor, sequi, secutusum is deponent, looks passive, translates actively. So here, this ut clause is showing us the result. I can tell because of that degree word, like adeo, tantus, tot, meaning so many, or in this instance, Tom. Ita and seek also are words that show degree that can allow us to have a, of course, result. Soldiers fought so bravely that, as a result, the leader himself followed into battle. So followed is the correct translation, imperfect subjunctive. Here you can translate it just like regular old imperfect. Number 2, Valerius. I go to my verb, a deponent verb again, proficiscor, proficisci, profectus sum. It is, of course, a deponent verb, looks passive, translates actively, but I got to ask the question, is it second or third? So proficiscor, proficisci, it just has a long I as the infinitive. So third conjugation with a long E, going to be future, translated actively. Valerius will set out. Now, cum primum is an idiom that means as soon as. Quam primum means as soon as possible. Valerius will set out as soon as possible. Brundisio. City, town, or small island. It's a city at the end of the Appian Way. Doesn't need a preposition, therefore doesn't have one, but in the ablative, it's going to indicate motion away. He will set out from Brundisium. Ut. Do we have a deponent, or I should say, do we have a subjunctive? Yes, we do. We fear a giant liar. Present subjunctive videat. And so I would expect, with this implying motion, this is the purpose of why he will set out, so that he may see, so that he could see. Remember, in English, we express the subjunctive with those helping verbs that are non-specific. May, might, could, would, should, or even can, so that he may see Cornelia, by, with, because of, fremen on at, the shortest time, in the shortest time. So, of course, a purpose clause showing the purpose of him setting out. Number 3, Cornelia wrote, scribo, scribere, scripsi, to Flavia, Tom lite eram, I was so happy. Here, a degree word, ut, with a subjunctive, that is a perfect stem, possum, posse, potui, with, of course, a perfect ending, erim, erit. So it is a perfect subjunctive. I was so happy that, as a result, there's our degree word, scarcely I was able to talk. Loqui, another deponent verb, looks passive, translates active, loquor, loqui, locutusum, third conjugation. Number 4, Sextus feared Temebat, was fearing very much Walde. And then obviously here is the fear clause as introduced by the fear. So it is a fear clause with a pluperfect subjunctive. It has the perfect infinitive, nekawisse, with an ending T, making it pluperfect subjunctive. Sextus feared very much that, and I say that and not that not, because remember that for fear clauses, the ut and the nay are reversed. Nay is positive and ut is negative. That the wolf already had killed the girls. That is his fear, that he had done it, not that he had not done it. His fear is that the wolf had. Number 5, Ita de festesarat. He was so tired in such a way, ut, that, with an imperfect subjunctive couperet, as a result, he wanted to sleep, and ut result clause with an imperfect subjunctive. Number 6, cum. Look for an ablative. Nope, that's just a preposition. Then we go to look at the verb. We're in luck. It's indicative. If it's indicative, it can only be one thing. Specificity, time when, a temporal clause. So it's at a specific time when he was sent home, has been sent home by the teacher. Sextus feared, a deponent verb again. Werior, wereri, weritisum, to fear, to be afraid. He was afraid, nay, that. Again, with a fear clause being introduced by the fear, we of course have an imperfect subjunctive, where berare is the infinitive, with, of course, tur, a non-deponent verb, so it looks passive, and it will translate passively. Sextus feared that he would be beaten, might be beaten, could be beaten by Cornelius. Locative case, at home. Cities, towns, small islands, the word domus, the word rus, and the word humus. All need no prepositions. Number 6 or 7. And by the way, this is again a fear clause. That is the fear that Sextus had. Tum Cornelius. Then Cornelius ordered the slaves. Impero, imperare is one of those commandy verbs. And so it is going to be introducing an indirect command with an imperfect subjunctive, portaret. So what did he command the slaves? Takes the dative object, does imperawit. That they not carry. Here the nay is not reversed, and so it is negative. That they not carry plus kibi, more of the food, into the dining room. Plus is our indeclinable substantive that is functioning as the accusative direct object. But it is the indirect command. Now what would be the command? Don't carry more food. But we are not issuing the command. We are reporting what it was by saying that he ordered the slaves that they not carry. And of course, as always, in English, we express both purpose and indirect commands with infinitives. So we in English would probably say that he ordered the slaves not to carry instead of that they not carry. But I would rather have the literal. Number 8, tot spectatores ad ludo conveniunt. So many, tot is a degree word, spectators come together to the games ad ludos. I need to fix that actually. As a result, here it is ut plus our present subjunctive. We fear, a giant liar, that the circus scarcely contains all of them, all. And so this is our result of so many spectators. Tot, so many, a degree word. Number 9, Euclides, non veritur. Again, verior, vereri, veritasum. He does not fear ut, that robbers. And here this is then the fear clause. So he does not fear that robbers adoriantur. Now, adoriantur is ad orior, oriri, ortasum. It, of course, means to rise up at someone and therefore to attack. It is subjunctive, present, ia. We fear a giant liar. And we, of course, make this negative, that the robbers may not attack him walking home. So it's a double negative, but that's what Latin likes. Nevertheless, we have a fear clause as introduced by a fear, and this fear clause, remember that the ut is negative, that the robbers would, could, might, may not attack. Number 10, te oro, I beg you, atque obsecro, and I beseech you. Just a regular compound sentence, but both oro and obsecro are commandy words. And so, ut domum venias is the indirect command, a subjunctive, we fear a giant liar, ia subjunctive. So I beg you and I beseech you, another word that just means beg, that you come home. The command would be come home, but we are not issuing the command. We are merely reporting what the command is or was. Number 11, it is not permitted, again, I'm missing an S, for the Romans, ut, that they drive, agent. That's wrong. Man, I have all kinds of errors. That should be agant. Oh my. I think that was an autocorrect, though, in that obviously agent is an English word. So it is not permitted for the Romans, ut, that they drive vehicles inside the city, interdue during the day. Now, everything that is highlighted here is actually functioning as the subject of liket. What is the it that is not allowed? The act of driving vehicles. So everything that is highlighted in this whole subjunctive phrase is being reduced to an action. The act of driving vehicles during the day inside the city. All of that is an action. And that whole thing is functioning as the subject of this impersonal verb. Now, I could easily change this to, if I so wished, and it would be, leaving out the ut, of course, it is not permitted for the Romans to drive. And so again, you can see that there are two ways by which you can make the impersonal subject an action. One, you can express it with an infinitive, because an infinitive is a noun. The other is that you express it with an ut clause, and that ut is not there often. So it is not permitted for the Romans that they drive. And so please be aware of that. And so again, this then is a substantive clause, a substantive noun clause, which is somewhat redundant, but it is reduced to an action. Number 12, Caesar. Hortor, hortari, hortata sum. Another deponent verb, looks passive, translates actively. Passive, hortatur, active. He encourages the soldiers. Ut, that's a commandy word. That they fight. We, fear giant liar. Pugno, pugnare, first conjugation. And that they fight fortius. Not fortiter, bravely, but fortius, more bravely. This is the indirect command. The command would be, fight more bravely. But we are not giving the command, we are reporting what the command was. Caesar encourages the soldier, and what was it that he encourages them? That they fight more bravely. Number 13, Sextus, que, and Marcus. Remember, the que is the equivalency of an et before the word that is attached to. Sextus and Marcus want, and this actually probably should be volunt, but by a law called attraction, it could indeed be wult. Attraction is merely where, when you have two possible subjects, the verb will take on the number of the closest subject, and that would be Marcus singular. But we'll turn it into the plurality. Marcus and Sextus want. Now, ut Titus ducat, that Titus lead them to the circus games, not Euclides. Everything that is highlighted here is essentially the direct object. The whole of that clause is being reduced to an action. And what is this action that they want? They want the act of Titus leading them to the Circus Maximus. I could easily put down Tolkien. It's a direct object. Very sweet, a candy. Marcus and Sextus want candy. You could have Keyboom. They want food. But instead, they want an action. And the action that they want is, of course, expressed by the subjunctive verb, we fear a. Giant liar, duco, ducere. Number 14, Hannibalum must be my accusative. The Romans warned, moneo monere, monui monitus, Hannibal, nay. Here, this is another commandy word, and thus this is the indirect command. Nay plus your imperfect subjunctive, ad orior, oriri, or to sum, to rise up against, with the ad on the front, meaning to attack, and it's nay, so it's going to be negative. Warned Hannibal that he not attack Saguntum. The direct command would be, don't attack Saguntum. But here we are obviously issuing the indirect command, or telling it. Number 15, many friends came together. Ut. Here I would argue this is an action of motion, and thus now we have a purpose clause. So that, remember that purpose clauses are the only ones that translate so that they might dine, may dine, could dine well, apud Cornelium, with Cornelius, or at the house of Cornelius. And this is the purpose that they came together, and thus it is the purpose clause. Number 16, Cornelius invites all the guests, ut, that they proceed, cato, catere, third conjugation, we fear a giant liar, hence the a that is there, into the dining room. And so this is the indirect command. My commandy verb is invitat, invites. And here we see that the direct command will be proceed into the atrium, but we are not issuing it directly. 17, Cornelia has the greatest fear, ut, that Flavia, genitive dad, Flavia's dad, may not. It is switched because this is a fear clause. The fear expressed is that she has the greatest fear that Flavia's dad may not come to Rome. And so again, remember when it comes to fear clauses, they are switched. Number 18, the janitor, the doorkeeper, has a stick, ut, so that. This is a purpose clause, and here, that is the actual purpose. And why does he have a stick? So that he may repel those people, qui, who sent, which is the subjunctive, are neither friends nor, or I should say friends nor close associates, buddy friends. What I have highlighted here is something you're going to be learning about this week, which is called the relative clause of characteristic. That's why it has a subjunctive verb. It tells to us that the antecedent is not a specific group of people, but rather the kind of people. And so that he may repel not the specific people, but the kind of people who are neither friends nor close friends / family. But my ut clause is ut repellat, and that is the purpose of why he has a stick. The ut purpose clause. Remember, the ut is translated so that. Number 19, slaves always work strenuously. Nay. So that, again, it's purpose but negative. So that they not be beaten. It's a present subjunctive because that is we, fair giant liar. It looks like an infinitive, but remember, this verb is not werbere, but werberare. So werber is your actual stem. E is your vowel, and entur is your ending. And so that they not be beaten by Cornelius, or remember, for negative purpose, you can use the word lest. Why do the slaves always work strenuously? Lest they be beaten by Cornelius. And so it is a negative purpose. Tanta tempestas coorta est. Again, our verb orior, oriri, or to assume, a deponent verb, means to rise. So big a storm arose. And tempestas is a tas tatis noun. Looks like it would be accusative, but that's just the variant form. And so take off the as, and you have the English word tempest. It's a storm. So big a storm arose, did arise. Deponent looks passive. Ut, that as a result, we do have a subjunctive, that ut result clause. I know because of our degree word. That as a result, we arrived, imperfect subjunctive, to Brundisium, no need for a preposition, city, town, small island, and the accusative means to or towards, late, sero, that we arrived to Brundisium late. It is necessary for all students that they study, multas horas, that they study for the duration of time and extent of space, always expressed in accusative case, for many hours. And this, of course, is the act that is the thing that is necessary. This is my subject, ut studiant. This is my linking verb, and that is the complement predicate adjective. What is the necessary thing? The act that they study many hours. And here, of course, our subjunctive verbs, ea, we fear a giant liar, had been, of course, autocorrected to the English word student. Stupid autocorrect. So this is a substantive noun clause, the subject of the impersonal verb expression. Cornelius asked Marcus, the one having been given round with the manly toga. I need to replace that with a long A. Let's go up. I don't want an equation. I can tell you that. Hold up. There we are. So going back, replacing it with long A. There it is. So Cornelius asked Marcus, the one having been given round, in other words, having been enwrapped, having been encircled, with the manly toga, ablative, ut, he asked him that he set out to the form with him, a imperfect subjunctive with a present active infinitive, if it existed for this deponent verb. It looks passive, translates actively. And this whole thing is the indirect command, and that's our commandy word. The direct command would be, set out with me. But indirect command, as we're reporting it, that he set out with him to the forum. When you become of age and undergo your coming of age ceremony, your father takes you down into the forum and has your name enlisted among the official roles of citizens. And so that's why he would do that on that day that he takes on the Togorbilis. Number 23. The slave guards the clothes, the vestimenta, nay, lest somebody steal them, sua, steal their own. Here, what we have is something that you will eventually learn. Si, the word, nisi, the word, num, the word, and nay. All the ollies fall away. So this would be aliqui, or in this instance, probably aliquis. But since it is nay that you see right here, then this ollie goes away. Remember the aliquis, aliquid means anybody, somebody, but it'll disappear. And so here, guards them so that not anybody steal his own clothes. The slave guards the clothes so that not or lest anybody steal. In other words, them. To make this easier, I could have just put a. That's probably better, and I'll leave it like that. Number 24, the soldier told the kind of story, the sort of story, that as a result, ut, with my imperfect subjunctive, crederet, as the infinitive plus an ending, takes a dative object, a e from the chart, is a id, as, dative, ae, namo is nominative, that as a result, nobody believed him. So, the soldier told the sort of story that, as a result, nobody believed him. Then finally, number 25, Euclides led the boys to school. Here, this tells us why. The purpose, ut, plus imperfect subjunctive, dokeo, dokeret. It's the infinitive plus an ending. Euclides led the boys to school so that the teacher, Palaemon, might, would, could, should, might is good, might teach them. And this then becomes the purpose with an imperfect subjunctive of the main action. So hopefully you did well on those clauses. And again, I appreciate your times and efforts of trying to learn the subjunctive the best that you can in these circumstances. Best of luck. We are now going to move on in a new recording to learn about the relative clauses.